In the heart of Chicago's glitziest steakhouse, the air buzzed with clinking glasses and whispered deals. James Carter, a waiter with a quiet demeanor, navigated the elite crowd. His tray steady despite the chaos. Billionaire tech mogul Olivia Bennett, radiant in a tailored suit, held court at the VIP table, her laughter sharp as she ordered. "Carter, is it? You butchered Coke, Ovin like a tourist. Try again." Her guests snickered, eyes gleaming with condescension. James's jaw tightened, but his voice emerged in flawless, velvet Russian. "Perhaps, MS. Bennett, you'd prefer I recite Tolstoy instead?" The room froze. Olivia's smirk vanished, her confidence shaken by the waiter's piercing gaze. Who was this man, hiding genius behind a server's apron? Whispers of a scandal, lost fortunes, shattered lives swirled in her mind. James turned, leaving her speechless, but the spark of that moment ignited a fire. Olivia sensed a mystery, one tied to her family's empire. For James, it was the first crack in a wall of secrets, a past buried under betrayal and blood. Their collision would unravel a conspiracy threatening the world's tech future, with Chicago as the battleground. The steakhouse glowed under chandeliers, its mahogany walls absorbing the hum of Chicago's elite. James Carter, 38, moved with practiced grace, balancing plates of seared ribeye. His dark eyes scanned the room, always alert. A habit from a life he buried. At table 12, Olivia Bennett, 42, CEO of Bennett Innovations, dominated her guests, venture capitalists and tech barons, with her razor-sharp wit. Her auburn hair gleamed, but her smile was a blade. As James set down her Cocovin, she leaned forward. "Carter, you mangled the name. It's not Cocovin. Say it right." Her tone dripped mockery, and her guests chuckled, feeding off her power. James's fingers tightened on the tray. He'd endured worse, but tonight, the sting hit deeper. "My apologies, Ms. Bennett," he said, voice low. She pressed, again, properly. The room seemed to shrink, eyes on him. Then, in a fluid shift, he spoke in pristine Russian. "If pronunciation offends, perhaps I should recite Pushkin to soothe your ears." The words rolled out, rich and deliberate, silencing the table. Olivia's green eyes widened, her confidence fracturing. Her guest shifted uncomfortably, sensing a shift in power. "Who are you?" she demanded, voice low. James offered a faint smile, just a waiter, before turning away. But Olivia's mind raced. That accent, that poise, it didn't fit. She'd built Bennett Innovations on reading people, and James Carter was no ordinary server. As he disappeared into the kitchen, she pulled out her phone. Texting her assistant, "Background check. James Carter." Now, her gut screamed he was more than he seemed, and her family's empire had secrets she couldn't ignore. In the kitchen, James leaned against a counter, heart pounding. He'd slipped, letting his guard down. 5 years ago, he'd been James Carter, strategic director at Bennett Innovations, a rising star in Chicago's tech scene. Then came the Volkov Systems deal, a Russian AI firm Bennett wanted to acquire. A financial scandal, forged documents, leaked emails, pinned the blame on him. He lost his job, his reputation, and worse, his wife, Sarah, in a car crash he'd never believed was accidental. Now, he lived for his daughter, Lily, 10, keeping his head down to protect her. But Olivia's taunt had cracked his facade, and her reaction told him she'd dig. He couldn't afford exposure, not when shadows from his past still hunted him. Back at her table, Olivia's phone buzzed. Her assistant's message was brief. "Carter, James, ex-Bennett exec. Fired 2020, Volkov scandal. Wife deceased. Daughter, Lily, age 10. Olivia's pulse quickened. She'd been a junior exec then. Unaware of the deal's details, but her cousin Ethan had overseen it. Why had Carter fallen so far? And why did his Russian fluency feel like a clue to a puzzle she hadn't known existed? As James reappeared, serving another table, their eyes locked. In that moment, both knew their lives had just collided, setting a dangerous game in motion. Chicago's glittering surface hid a web of lies, and James Carter was its first thread. James's one-bedroom apartment in Chicago's South Loop was a fortress of simplicity, bare walls. A single photo of Lily smiling at a park. At 2 a.m., he sat at a rickety table, staring at a faded news article, Bennett Innovations exec fired in Volkov scandal. His face, younger, stared back. A ghost of a life stolen. In 2020, he'd been a star at Bennett Innovations, brokering a deal with Volkov Systems, a Russian AI firm specializing in agricultural tech. The deal promised billions. But forged financial reports surfaced, painting James as a fraud. He was fired, disgraced, and shunned. Weeks later, Sarah died in a crash on I-90, her car's brakes failing. The police called it an accident, but James never believed it. He'd fled with Lily, rebuilding as a waiter to stay invisible. Now, Olivia's scrutiny threatened that safety. At her Loop penthouse, Olivia pored over files her assistant had pulled. James's record was impressive: MIT grad, fluent in Russian, a key player in Bennett's Russian expansion. But the Volkov deal's collapse was murky. Ethan, her cousin, had led the acquisition, claiming James embezzled funds. Yet the evidence, emails, bank transfers, felt too clean, like a setup. Olivia's father, Richard Bennett, had retired by then, leaving Ethan in charge. She'd trusted him, but doubts crept in. Why had James vanished so completely? The next night, James worked his shift, nerves taut. Olivia arrived alone, taking a corner booth. She waved him over, her expression softer. "I owe you an apology," she said. "I was cruel. But I know who you are, James." Bennett Innovations. Volkov. James froze, his tray nearly slipping. "You've got the wrong guy," he muttered. But she pressed on. "I checked. You were set up. I want to know why." Her sincerity disarmed him, but trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. "Leave it alone, Ms. Bennett. For your sake." He walked away, heart racing. Olivia didn't relent. She dug deeper, accessing old company emails through a backdoor server. One caught her eye, a deleted thread between Ethan and an unknown contact. "Carter's out. Volkov's ours. Clean the loose ends." Her stomach churned. Had Ethan framed James? And what loose ends? She recalled Sarah's crash, a detail buried in James's file. The coincidence felt wrong. She needed answers, but James was a wall. At the steakhouse the next evening, she cornered him after closing. "I found something," she said, showing the email. "Ethan betrayed you. Help me figure out why." James's fists clenched. The name Ethan Bennett was a wound. His smug face during the firing. His refusal to hear James's defense. But Olivia's evidence cracked his resolve. "If I talk, Lily's at risk," he said. "Someone's been watching us since Sarah died." Olivia's eyes narrowed. "Then we protect her. I have resources. Let me help." Against his better judgment, James nodded. His past was a minefield, but Lily deserved a life free of fear. As they agreed to meet secretly, a shadow moved outside the restaurant, a figure snapping photos, reporting back to an unseen master. James's reemergence had stirred a hornet's nest, and Chicago's underbelly was waking. Olivia Bennett's penthouse office overlooked Chicago's skyline, its glass walls reflecting her empire's sheen. At 42, she'd built Bennett Innovations into a tech titan. But James Carter's defiance exposed a flaw: her arrogance. She'd mocked a man whose life her family had destroyed. Guilt gnawed at her, a rare emotion. She spent days analyzing James's file, her mind racing. The Volkov scandal wasn't just a corporate misstep, it was a deliberate sabotage. Ethan's role, and her ignorance, implicated her by association. She needed to make amends. Not just for James, but to reclaim her integrity. She devised a plan, a joint venture in AI-driven agriculture, leveraging James's expertise. It was a cover to investigate Ethan's actions without raising suspicion. At a quiet coffee shop in Wicker Park, she met James, who arrived wary, his eyes scanning for threats. "I'm offering you a way back," she said, sliding a proposal across the table. "AI for sustainable farming. You lead it. But we also dig into Ethan's mess." James's jaw tightened. "You think a job fixes what your family did?" Olivia leaned forward, voice steady. "No, but truth might. I was wrong about you. Let me prove it." James hesitated. Lily's safety was his priority. But Olivia's resources, security, access to Bennett's archives, could protect her while unraveling the past. He agreed, stipulating anonymity. "No one knows I'm involved," he said. Olivia nodded. Already planning. She hired a private investigator, Maria Torres, to probe Ethan's dealings. Torres uncovered a trail, offshore accounts linked to Nexus Global, a shadowy conglomerate, and encrypted calls between Ethan and a Russian contact. The Volkov deal's collapse benefited Nexus, not Bennett. Olivia's blood ran cold. Had Ethan sold out her company? At their next meeting, in a nondescript Evanston diner, Olivia shared Torres's findings. James's face darkened as he read about Nexus. Sarah found something, he said quietly. She was digging into Volkov's finances before she died. Said it was bigger than Bennett. Olivia's heart sank. Sarah's death wasn't random. She vowed to protect James and Lily, arranging discreet security for their apartment. But doubt lingered. Could she trust her own instincts? Or was she too late to undo her family's sins? James, meanwhile, wrestled with hope. Olivia's sincerity felt real, but trust was a gamble. He taught Lily a coded phrase, blue sparrow, to signal danger, a precaution from his old life. At work, he kept his head down. But the steakhouse felt exposed. One night, a customer lingered, watching him too closely. James memorized his face, sharp cheekbones, gray suit. He texted Olivia, "We're being followed." She replied instantly, "Move to my safe house tomorrow. I'm doubling security." As James packed a bag for Lily, Olivia confronted her past. She'd climbed Bennett's ranks by ignoring its darker corners, but no more. She hacked Ethan's personal server, finding a memo, eliminate Carter threat. Nexus priority. Her hands shook. Ethan wasn't just corrupt, he was a killer. She and James were now targets, their alliance a spark in a powder keg. Outside the diner, the man in the gray suit made a call. "They're getting close." "Orders." The voice on the line was cold. "Neutralize them." Chicago's shadows tightened, ready to strike. James woke to a buzzing phone at 3 a.m., the screen glowing with an unknown number. A text read, "Sarah's crash wasn't an accident. Check Bennett's Moscow files. Trust no one." His heart pounded, the words slicing through 5 years of grief. He reread the message, memorizing it before deleting it. Lily slept soundly in the next room, her soft breaths a reminder of why he'd stayed silent. But the warning changed everything. Sarah had been murdered. And the truth was tied to Bennett Innovations. He needed Olivia, but doubt crept in. Could she be part of this? At dawn, he met Olivia at a crowded farmer's market in Logan Square. Blending into the bustle, his voice was low, urgent. "Someone texted me. Said Sarah's death was planned. Mentioned Moscow files." Olivia's face paled, her coffee cup trembling. "Moscow files. That's Volkov's acquisition data. Ethan sealed those after you were fired." She paused, eyes narrowing. "Who sent it?" James shook his head. "No clue. But it means someone's watching us, someone who knows." Olivia's mind raced. The files were locked in Bennett's secure server, accessible only by family. Ethan, or someone higher, was covering tracks. They were located to Olivia's safe house, a sleek condo in Hyde Park guarded by her private security. There, James recounted Sarah's final weeks. "She was obsessed with Volkov's funding," he said. "Said it came from shell companies, not Russia. She wanted to warn your board." Olivia's gut twisted. Sarah had been a threat, and Ethan had motive. She accessed Bennett's server, bypassing firewalls with a backdoor she'd kept from her hacking days. The Moscow files were encrypted, but one document stood out. A payment to a Russian fixer, signed E.B. Ethan Bennett. James's blood boiled. "He killed her," he whispered, fists clenched. Olivia touched his arm. "We need proof. If Ethan's dirty, he's not alone." She called Torres, who traced the fixer to Nexus Global. The conglomerate had funneled millions to Volkov, then tanked the deal to buy it cheap. Sarah's discovery had threatened their plan. Olivia's voice hardened. "We confront Ethan, but we need leverage." James nodded, but the anonymous text haunted him. Who was the sender? Ally or trap? That night, James spotted the man in the gray suit outside the safe house, snapping photos. He alerted Olivia, who moved them to a new location, a cabin in Wisconsin. En route, James taught Lily another code, Red Hawk, for immediate evacuation. Lily, sensing his fear, hugged him. "Are we safe, Dad?" He forced a smile. "Always, kiddo." But safety was an illusion. Torres reported back. The fixer was dead, a supposed suicide in Moscow. Nexus was tying loose ends. And James and Olivia were next. Olivia's resolve deepened. She'd ignored her family's shadows too long, profiting while others suffered. "We're not running," she told James. "We expose Ethan. Then Nexus." James agreed, but the warning's final words, "Trust no one," echoed. As they planned their next move, a drone hummed outside the cabin, its camera glinting. Nexus knew their location. The game had escalated, and Chicago's elite were pawns in a deadly chess match. James gripped Lily's hand, ready to fight for their future. In the Wisconsin cabin, James and Olivia pored over the Moscow files, the air thick with tension. Torres had decrypted more data, revealing Ethan Bennett's betrayal. He'd colluded with Nexus Global to sabotage the Volkov deal, framing James to clear the path. A memo detailed a payment to a hitman for Carter disposal. James's vision blurred. Sarah's face flashing before him. Her laugh, her fierce intellect. Ethan killed her, he said, voice breaking. Olivia's jaw tightened. He used my company as a front. I'll ruin him. Her guilt fueled her rage. She'd trusted Ethan, blind to his greed. Torres uncovered Nexus's motive. Volkov's AI could revolutionize agriculture, controlling global food markets. Nexus wanted it cheap, and Ethan delivered by destroying James and Sarah. But the files hinted at a bigger player, a Nexus executive, Harper, with U.S. intelligence ties. Olivia's stomach churned. If Harper's involved, this isn't just corporate. It's geopolitical. James nodded, his mind on Lily, now at a secure school under Torres's watch. We need Ethan's confession, he said. Hard evidence. They devised a plan. Lure Ethan to a meeting in Chicago, wired for sound. Olivia called him, feigning a business crisis. I found irregularities in the Volkov deal, she lied. Meet me at the old warehouse on Halstead. Ethan, smug, agreed, unaware of their trap. On the drive back, James gripped the wheel, haunted by Sarah's last words. Find the truth, James. He would. For her and Lily. At the warehouse, Ethan arrived, his tailored coat out of place in the gritty space. Olivia played her role, accusing him of mismanagement. Ethan scoffed. You're out of your depth? Liv. James stepped from the shadows, his voice ice. Tell me about Sarah. Ethan's eyes widened, but he recovered, sneering. Your wife was collateral damage. Volkov was mine. Wired with a hidden mic, James pressed. You paid for her murder. Ethan laughed, chillingly casual. Nexus wanted her gone. I delivered. You were nothing, Carter. Olivia's hands shook. But she stayed calm, signaling James to keep him talking. Ethan boasted, Harper runs Nexus. He's untouchable, CIA connections, global reach. The confession was gold, recorded clean. But Ethan's phone buzzed, and his face changed. You idiots, he hissed, pulling a gun. Harper's been tracking you. A shot rang out, grazing James's arm. Olivia tackled Ethan, disarming him as James secured the recording. They fled, blood dripping, as Nexus's hired guns stormed the warehouse. In a stolen car, they raced to Torres, who uploaded the confession to a secure server. This nails Ethan, she said, but Harper's the real threat. James bandaged his arm, his resolve iron. Sarah's killer was exposed. But the conspiracy ran deeper. Olivia, shaken, vowed to dismantle Nexus. I let this happen, she said. No more. As they hid in a motel, Torres called. Harper's in New York. He's planning something big. James and Olivia exchanged a look. Ethan was just the start. Nexus's web spanned continents, and Harper was its spider. Chicago's streets faded behind them. A battleground for a war they couldn't yet win. The Seattle waterfront shimmered under a gray dawn, its piers bustling with early trade. James and Olivia had fled Chicago, chasing a lead on Harper, a Nexus board meeting in a downtown high-rise. Torres had arranged a covert meet with a whistleblower, a former Nexus coder named Riley, who claimed proof of Harper's AI manipulation. The stakes were sky-high. Riley's data could expose Nexus's global cyber attacks. They met in a cramped diner off Pike Place, the smell of coffee masking their tension. Riley, a nervous 20-something, slid a USB drive across the table. Harper's rigging AI markets, she whispered. This has logs, targets, everything. James's arm, still sore from Ethan's bullet, throbbed as he pocketed the drive. Olivia scanned the diner, her instincts sharp. We need to move, she said. This feels exposed. They stepped onto the pier, blending with tourists, but James's neck prickled. A man in a black cap trailed them, his pace deliberate. We're followed, he muttered. Before Olivia could respond, a van screeched to a halt, and 3 Nexus assassins, masked, armed, leaped out. Gunfire erupted, shattering the morning calm. Tourists screamed, scattering as James tackled Olivia behind a fish stall. Bullets splintered wood, the air thick with salt and gunpowder. James's training kicked in. Years at Bennett had included crisis drills. He grabbed a metal crate, hurling it at one gunman, who stumbled. Olivia, no stranger to pressure, snatched Riley's dropped phone, texting Torres, ambush. Pier 57. Now, they sprinted toward a warehouse, dodging shots. Inside, the cavernous space echoed with their footsteps. The assassins followed, relentless. James spotted a fire axe on the wall, smashing a pipe to release steam, cloaking their escape. Up the stairs, he yelled. On the roof, Seattle's skyline loomed, a cruel contrast to their peril. The assassins cornered them, but Torres's chopper roared overhead, a lifeline. A rope ladder dropped, and Olivia climbed, James covering her with the axe. A bullet grazed his leg, but he hauled himself up as Torres's team returned fire. The chopper banked over Puget Sound, leaving the assassins below. Riley, shaken, gasped. Harper knew I'd talk. James clutched the USB, blood seeping through his jeans. Then we hit him harder. At a safe house in Tacoma, Torres analyzed the drive. It detailed Nexus's AI hacks, disrupting Asian and European markets to favor U.S. clients. Harper, a rogue CIA general, was the architect. Olivia's face hardened. He's untouchable unless we go public. James, patching his wounds, thought of Lily, safe with Torres's team. We need more than data, he said. Harper's in New York. We take the fight to him. Olivia nodded, her guilt now fury. She'd enabled Ethan's rise, but Harper's shadow was her family's true shame. The ambush had clarified their mission. Nexus wasn't just corporate, it was a machine of global control. As they planned their New York move, James checked on Lily via a secure line. Blue Sparrow, Dad? She asked, voice small. Not yet, kiddo, he lied, heart aching. Olivia watched, her resolve stealing. Seattle's scars marked their survival, but New York would test their courage. Harper's empire loomed, and they were running out of time. New York's meatpacking district pulsed with nightlife, but the abandoned warehouse on Washington Street was a void of shadows. James and Olivia had tracked Ethan Bennett to a Nexus safe house. His confession their ticket to Harper. Inside, the air was stale, crates stacked like tombstones. James adjusted the hidden mic under his collar, his legs still stiff from Seattle. Olivia, wired too. Checked her phone. Torres was outside, ready to stream the recording live if needed. He's here, she whispered, spotting Ethan's silhouette by a rusted stairwell. His arrogance radiated. Even in hiding. They approached, James's voice cutting the silence. Ethan, we know you killed Sarah. Ethan turned, smirking, his Armani suit pristine. Carter, still whining about your dead wife. Olivia stepped forward, eyes blazing. We have your Volkov memo. Nexus paid you to frame him. Ethan's smirk faltered, but he laughed. You're grasping, Liv. Nexus owns this game. James pressed. Mike Liv. Admitted. You ordered the hit. Ethan's eyes flicked to the exits, calculating. Fine. Sarah was nosy. Nexus wanted her gone, so I made it happen. Break lines clean. Cheap. Olivia's fist clenched, but she stayed focused. And Harper? Who's he protecting? Ethan's voice dropped. Smug. General Harper, CIA. He's rigging AI markets for Washington's elite. Your aunt's to him. The confession was damning, but Ethan's hand moved to his pocket. James lunged, expecting a gun, but Ethan triggered a signal jammer, killing their mics. Harper's watching. He sneered, pulling a knife. You're dead already. Olivia dodged as Ethan swung, the blade grazing her arm. James tackled him, pinning him against a crate. Where's Harper? He growled. Ethan spat. He's in New York, planning a cyber attack to crash Asia's markets. You can't stop him. Olivia rebooted the mic, capturing his words. But headlights flashed outside, Nexus reinforcements. Torres texted, get out. Now. James zip-tied Ethan, dragging him to a side exit as gunfire erupted. Bullets tore through the warehouse, splintering wood. Olivia fired a flare gun, blinding their pursuers, and they sprinted to Torres's van. Ethan, cuffed, cursed as they sped toward Midtown. Harper will bury you, he taunted. At a Brooklyn safe house. Torres uploaded the recording to a dark web server, safe from Nexus's reach. Ethan's confession named Harper and detailed Nexus's AI plot. James, nursing bruises, felt Sarah's ghost urging him forward. We've got Ethan, he said, but Harper's the head. Olivia, bandaging her arm, nodded. He's at a Nexus summit tomorrow. We crash it. Her voice carried a new weight. She'd trusted Ethan, her family, and now saw their rot. James admired her fire, but feared the cost. Lily's coded call came through. Red Hawk, Dad. His heart sank. Not yet. He lied again. The confrontation had exposed Nexus's core, but Harper's CIA ties made him a ghost. New York skyscrapers loomed like sentinels, hiding a war for global control. James and Olivia were marked, their evidence a beacon for Nexus's wrath. As they planned their next strike, a drone buzzed outside, its red eye locking on their window. Harper knew their every move. And the city was his chessboard. The Brooklyn safe house was a concrete bunker, its walls lined with monitors streaming Nexus's hacked data. James and Olivia analyzed Ethan's confession, their faces lit by the glow. Torres had decrypted more files from Riley's USB, revealing Nexus Global's endgame, a global AI takeover. General Harper, a rogue CIA operative, wasn't just rigging markets, he was weaponizing AI to destabilize rival economies. Volkov's tech, stolen through Ethan's sabotage, powered Nexus's cyber attacks, targeting Asia and Europe. A leaked memo outlined Project Eclipse, a coordinated hack to crash stock exchanges, with Harper's CIA allies shielding Nexus from scrutiny. James's stomach churned. This is war, he said. And Sarah died for it. Olivia's eyes burned with betrayal. Her family's company had been a pawn, Ethan a traitor. Harper's using Nexus to reshape the world, she said. We expose him, or billions suffer. Torres pinpointed Harper's summit at a Nexus-owned tower in Manhattan's financial district. He's meeting global clients tomorrow, she said. Security's insane, biometrics. Armed guards. James gripped the table, thinking of Lily, now hidden in a Vermont safe house. We need to get inside, he said. In this. Olivia nodded, her mind racing. She built Bennett Innovations on trust. Now, she'd tear Nexus down with truth. They crafted a plan, infiltrate the summit posing as investors, using forged IDs from Torres's network. Olivia hacked Nexus's guest list, inserting their aliases. James studied the tower's blueprints, memorizing vents and blind spots. But Riley's data revealed a deeper horror. Harper's AI could manipulate voting systems, threatening democracies. He's not just after money, Olivia said. He wants control. James's resolve hardened. Sarah had uncovered this, and it cost her life. He wouldn't let her death be in vain. At dawn, they moved to a midtown hotel, prepping their disguises. James, in a tailored suit, felt like his old self, but the weight of Lily's safety anchored him. Olivia, in a sleek dress, hid a micro camera in her brooch. Torres warned, Harper's got facial recognition. One slip. You're dead. As they approached the tower, its glass facade gleamed like a fortress. Inside, billionaires mingled, unaware of Harper's plot. James and Olivia passed security, their forged biometrics holding. But a guard lingered, eyeing James too long. Keep moving, Olivia whispered, her pulse racing. Harper's keynote began, his voice smooth, promising a new era of AI dominance. James spotted him, tall, silver-haired, exuding authority. The micro camera streamed to Torres, capturing Harper's boasts about Eclipse. But a Nexus exec approached, whispering to Harper. His eyes scanned the room, locking on James. We're made, James hissed. Alarms blared, and guards swarmed. Olivia triggered a smoke grenade. Chaos erupting as guests fled. They dove into a service corridor, gunfire echoing. He knew we were coming. Olivia gasped. James's mind flashed to the drone in Brooklyn. Harper's reach was endless. Torres's voice crackled through their earpieces. FBI's on alert, but you're on your own. The summit had exposed Nexus's global reach, but Harper was steps ahead. New York streets became a labyrinth, and James and Olivia were prey. Lily's coded phrase haunted him, Blue Sparrow. Time was running out, and Harper's empire was closing in. The Swiss Alps loomed, their peaks cloaking General Harper's compound, a fortress of steel and secrecy. James and Olivia had fled New York, using Torres's contacts to secure false passports. Riley's data pointed to Harper's base in Geneva, where he was finalizing Project Eclipse. The compound housed servers controlling Nexus's AI hacks, a ticking bomb for global markets. James, his legs still aching, felt Sarah's ghost urging him forward. Lily was safe in Canada, guarded by Olivia's allies, but her coded call, Red Hawk, echoed in his mind. Olivia, her arm scarred from Ethan's knife, studied the compound schematics. We destroy those servers, she said, or Harper wins. They spent days reconnoitering, posing as hikers. The compound was a maze, motion sensors, armed patrols, laser grids. Torres hacked a guard roster, revealing a 2-minute gap in the northwest sector. At midnight, under a moonless sky, they crept through snow, clad in black. James disabled a sensor with a signal jammer, his hand steady despite the cold. Olivia cut a fence panel, her breath visible. Inside, they navigated tunnels. The hum of servers growing louder, but a camera whirred, catching James's face. "Move," Olivia hissed as alarm screamed. Guards swarmed, boots echoing. James and Olivia dove into a vent, crawling toward the server room. Bullets ricocheted behind them, the air thick with dust. In the server room, glowing racks pulsed with Nexus's power. Olivia plugged in a virus drive, coded to fry Eclipse's AI. 30 seconds, she whispered. But a door slammed. Harper's mole, a Nexus coder who'd posed as their ally, stood with a gun. "You trusted the wrong people," he sneered, revealing he'd leaked their plan. James tackled him, the gun skidding. Olivia finished the upload, servers sparking as Eclipse collapsed. Harper's voice boomed over intercoms. "You're trapped, Carter." Gas hissed, filling the room. James smashed a window, icy air rushing in. They climbed onto a ledge, the Alps a deadly drop below. A chopper, Torres's, hovered, but Harper's guards fired from turrets. James shielded Olivia, taking a bullet to the shoulder. "Go," he yelled, pushing her to the ladder. She climbed, pulling him up as blood soaked his jacket. The chopper banked, bullets pinging off its hull. The mole's betrayal stung, but the servers were dead. Eclipse was crippled. At a Geneva safe house, Torres patched James's wound. "You got the AI," she said. "But Harper's loose." Olivia's face was grim. "He's got CIA cover. We need more." James, pale but resolute, thought of Lily. The mole had been their ally since Seattle, feeding Harper their moves. Trust was a trap, but Sarah's memory fueled him. "We find Harper," he said. "Finish it." Olivia nodded. Her empire's sins now her fight. The Alps faded as they planned their final strike. But Harper's shadow loomed. A burner phone buzzed, Lily's voice, panicked. "Blue Sparrow, Dad." Harper's men had found her. Switzerland's victory was hollow, and the war was far from over. Toronto's skyline glittered, but the safe house, a drab warehouse, was a fortress of fear. Lily's Blue Sparrow call had shattered James. Harper's men had raided her Canadian hideout. But Torres's team extracted her, barely. Now, James and Olivia raced north, the FBI on their tail. Torres had leaked Ethan's confession and Riley's data to the Bureau, triggering a manhunt for Harper. But Harper was a ghost, his CIA allies shielding him. James clutched Lily's photo, his shoulder wound burning. "We end this," he told Olivia. "For Lily. For Sarah." Olivia, her face etched with resolve, nodded. "Harper's in Toronto. FBI's closing in, but we get him first." Torres tracked Harper to a Nexus front, a tech conference at the CN Tower. He was pitching Eclipse's remnants to rogue investors, desperate to salvage his empire. James and Olivia infiltrated as press, using forged badges. The tower's glass walls reflected Toronto's lights, a cruel backdrop to their mission. Harper spoke on a stage, his charisma masking his crimes. James's mic streamed to Torres, capturing his boasts. "Eclipse will rise again. Markets will kneel." Olivia spotted Harper's guards, ex-CIA, armed. "He's expecting us," she whispered. Lily's signal came through, a tracker Torres had planted. She was hidden in a nearby hotel. But Harper's men were closing. James's heart raced. "We split," he said. "You get Lily. I take Harper." Olivia protested, but James was iron. "She's my daughter." Olivia relented, slipping away. James approached the stage, blending with reporters. Harper's eyes locked on him, a predator sensing prey. "Carter," he sneered, signaling guards. James dodged, triggering a fire alarm. Chaos erupted. Guests flooding exits. He tackled Harper backstage, pinning him. "You killed Sarah," he growled. "Mike live." "Admit it." Harper laughed, chillingly calm. "Your wife was a threat." Eclipse needed Volkov. One call, and her brakes failed. The confession streamed to the FBI. But Harper drew a knife, slashing James's arm. They grappled, crashing through a glass panel. Toronto's skyline spun below. Olivia, meanwhile, reached Lily, neutralizing 2 guards with a taser. "Dad's fighting," Lily sobbed. Olivia hugged her, radioing Torres. Now, FBI tactical teams stormed the tower. Flashbangs lighting the night. Harper's guards fell, but he slipped into an elevator, James in pursuit. On the observation deck, Harper aimed a gun. "You can't stop Eclipse," he taunted. James lunged, disarming him as FBI agents breached. "You're done," James said, blood dripping. Agents cuffed Harper, his empire crumbling. Torres streamed the confessions worldwide, exposing Nexus's CIA ties. Days later, James reunited with Lily in California's Silicon Valley, her smile healing his scars. Harper faced trial, his allies abandoned him. Olivia dismantled Bennett Innovations' corrupt wings. Vowing transparency, James, free, planned a new life, Sarah's memory his guide. Nexus's shadow lingered, but truth had won. Silicon Valley's rolling hills bloomed with spring, a stark contrast to the battlegrounds of Chicago, New York, and Toronto. James Carter, now 39, stood in a modest office, its walls lined with blueprints for his new venture, Verdant AI, an ethical startup using AI to boost sustainable farming. Lily, 11, bounced in, her dark hair tied back, sketching app designs on a tablet. "Dad, can we add a soil sensor?" she asked, eyes bright. James smiled, his shoulder scar a faint reminder of their war. "You're the boss, kiddo," he said, ruffling her hair. Verdant was his redemption, a tribute to Sarah's dream of a better world. Across town, Olivia Bennett, 43, addressed Bennett Innovations' board in a sleek conference room. She'd purged Ethan's allies, selling off tainted assets. "We rebuild with integrity," she declared, unveiling a transparency initiative. Her once arrogant edge was gone, replaced by a quiet strength. She mentored young female coders, honoring Sarah's memory. At night, she visited James's office. Their bond forged in fire. "Verdant's projections look solid," she said, reviewing his data. James nodded, grateful but cautious. Trust was hard-won, but Olivia had earned it. Her empire now a force for good. James's days were full, coding, mentoring, and coaching Lily's soccer team. He taught at a community college, sharing his story to inspire. "Truth is your weapon," he told students, his voice steady. Lily thrived, her coded apps winning local contests. But James never forgot Harper's final threat. "My people will find you." He kept a burner phone, Torres on speed dial, just in case. Nexus's remnants lurked, but exposure had weakened them. The FBI's ongoing probe, fueled by their evidence, dismantled Harper's CIA network. A slow but certain justice. Olivia, too, carried scars. She'd lost her cousin, her family's myth of invincibility. Yet, her work with James grounded her. She funded Verdant anonymously, ensuring its independence. At a valley vineyard, they met to celebrate Verdant's first client, a local farm. Lily ran through the vines, laughing, as James and Olivia toasted with sparkling cider. "To Sarah," Olivia said softly. James nodded, his throat tight. "And us." The sunset painted the hills gold, a promise of peace. James Carter's journey through betrayal, loss, and redemption reveals a timeless truth. Resilience and courage can topple even the mightiest conspiracies. In Chicago's glittering steakhouses, New York's shadowed warehouses, and Switzerland's icy fortresses, James faced a world rigged against him. His wife, Sarah, was stolen by greed, his life shattered by lies. Yet, he fought not for vengeance, but for his daughter, Lily, and the hope of a just world. Olivia Bennett, once blinded by arrogance, learned that power without integrity is hollow. Their alliance, forged in pain, proved that truth, wielded boldly, can dismantle empires. Nexus Global's collapse showed that no one is untouchable when courage meets conviction. This story teaches us to confront injustice, no matter the odds. Life will test us with betrayal, grief, and fear, but resilience, rooted in love and purpose, carries us through. James's refusal to surrender, Olivia's redemption, and Lily's hope remind us that every fight matters. We all face our own. Harper's systems are people who thrive on deception. The lesson is clear: stand firm, seek truth, and act. Even when the cost is high, redemption is possible, but only through action. Don't wait for heroes. Be one. In your community, workplace, or home, challenge lies and champion fairness. Speak up when you see wrong, whether it's a small slight or a systemic flaw. Share James and Olivia's story to inspire others. Volunteer, mentor, or support causes that fight corruption and inequality. Your voice, like James's Russian retort in that Chicago steakhouse, can spark change. Start today. Truth is your power. and the world needs it now.